Well, good evening, friends. Welcome to Beyond the Pain live video. It's good to be together again on this on this Tuesday evening, um, when we come together to talk about how we go about beyond our painful experiences. This year has been an interesting one in so many ways. And I look back to 1st of January till today, I have a lot of reasons to be grateful to God. There's been so many twists and turns, ups and downs, but here we are. We have completed first half of 2024. And as usual, it's possible for us to enter into this second half with trepidations as we look back into the year and wondering, where did the year go? When we have been extremely busy, it seems time just flies. But then again, we're looking at the things that we have set out to accomplish in 2024. And it can become a heavy load on our heart when we begin to think about, okay, some of the things that we desire to do that we have not yet done. But I always believe that every new month, every new week, every new quarter or half of the year gives us an opportunity to recalibrate and put ourselves in a place where we can move forward to achieve our dreams, the things that we are trusting God for to accomplish in the year. And the incredible things that can still happen in this new year 2024. So I'm very hopeful. I'm thankful for every mileage made in the first half of 2024. I thank you for everyone who has joined us on Beyond the Pain program, whether here on live video, on our live videos on Tuesdays, or participated in our webinars, or participated in our courses that we offered, and also those who have participated in the one-on-one coaching. All of you have been a part of making my journey of 2024 enriching. And I want to thank God for every single one of you. And I want to believe that your participation here is making a difference for your lives in one way or the other. That the time that you spend here, contributes to something for you, makes a difference for you, adds up to something in your lives. As we begin to get ready for our sharing today, just want to be sure that we have all our friends online. And I will also encourage you, if you so desire, to invite friends to join us tonight. So I'm just going to do that rapidly so that we can get on our topic for today, one that has been coming to me in different ways since the beginning of today. And I'm trusting God that it will also be an opportunity for you to be enriched as well. Just want to share to the group so that we're sure that everybody is online. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Beyond the Pain live video. We are getting started, just making sure that our friends are online. Yes. Okay, great. So, welcome again. It's good to have you here with me on this Tuesday evening. And just as I was saying, that my prayer is that your journey with me in this space in 2024 has been enriching for you. It has benefited you and it has contributed to you in one way or the other, in whichever way you have interacted with me on Beyond the Pain in 2024. And as we go into the second half of this year, my earnest prayer for all of us is that opportunities will abound for us, to even go further in our healing process, in our journey beyond the pain. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to live the fullness of life that God designed for us to live, if we're going to be the version of us that God has called us to be, then we have to walk this journey beyond the pain. We need to heal and go beyond what has happened to us. And this is one of the reasons why I'm really sharing this topic today. And the topic for today is unhealed hurts will hold you back. It is because I have seen what happened to people when we hold on to hurts, when we do not heal from the wounds that have been inflicted to us. If you follow me long enough, you know that in this space, we recognize that life does happen. We recognize that we live in a fallen world where people will wound each other out of their own brokenness, out of their own broken nature. And therefore, given this potential, the propensity of us to have nasty things happen to us, bad things happen to us, is very hard. As long as we're living in this side of the divide, in this world, those opportunities are going to be there. It's inevitable that life challenges will come our way, adversity will come our way. We will be wounded and hurt by other people's brokenness, by their fallen nature, by their own unhealed wounds as well. And so, first of all, it's about us, how we manage when we're on the receiving end of such events in our lives, and how we can also ensure that we do not give out to others what we have been given because we have not healed. And the interesting thing is that, there is a ways you just keep stumbling on something that is been, all you've been thinking about, and you just find yourself, stumbling on it, or, along the way in the course of a day. And 3 times today, I actually participated in conversations, or I stumbled on some conversations regarding the negative impact of unhealed past hurts. When we have unresolved painful experiences from our past, or perhaps even right now in our present, they have negative impact on us, and the negative impacts are far reaching. And I've talked extensively along that line on this group, that things that happened to us in the past don't just disappear. They require our attention. We need to deal with it. We need to heal from it. That's why today I really want us to pay attention to unresolved past events, that has happened to us, something that has happened that we didn't deal with, that we have not dealt with properly, and heal from it, and how they can keep showing up in different parts of our lives, different spheres of our lives. And, as I was pondering on all of these conversations that we heard, and information that I came across today, I just, got me into a reflective situation, posture, just reflecting on some of the situations that I've had the opportunity to, support, to handle, supporting people who are acting from the places of real deep hurts. And I look at it, what the reaction, the things that they have done from the place of deep hurts, it was really mind-boggling. I mean, you look at it and you just wonder, if you do not have the hindsight, if you have not been a part of their journey, you just wonder, where is this coming from? Some of the things that people do just leaves you, in shock. And I reflected on some of this particular situation. It looks as if, yes, this person had really nasty events happen to them. And then, it was like we were able to resolve it and sort it out. And life seems to have gone on from this on. But, the benefit of hindsight now, one is now wondering that, you know, what signs did we miss? Because it was like life just went on. And all of a sudden, years later, over a decade later, the person acted in a way that was so incredibly shocking. I mean, took a drastic decision that you're wondering, goodness gracious, what happened? Why? And why is this all happening now? We thought that this person is in an okay place. But you see, we can't pretend or have an appearance of having dealt with the situation while in actual fact, we've just parked it for a while. And you see, when we put something under the carpet or pack it festers, it grows, and especially if the person has opportunities to feed it and let it grow where it is. So the vengeful thirst that comes from that place, the resentment, all can come to the surface at a time when least expected. It's like a molten lava running under the big mountain for years. And at the right time, at the right trigger, it just poof come out into a volcano, and then you see the volcanic reaction. You do not know that things have been going on beneath the surface for so long. And that is the same thing when we have unresolved, painful experiences, unhealed hurts. They are riding in beneath the surface, and they're gathering energy and gathering pressure, heating up, and at the right time, with the right condition, they just blow out in the face. And those of you who have been following me for a while will know that we've been doing this course, which was advertised in this group. And I'm really so grateful to God for those who signed up for that course, the Writing for Healing course. I have been nurturing the thought of this course for about a year, and this year we eventually rolled it out. And this is one of the things that I'm grateful to God for that we did this year. And as I'm looking at the people who have participated in this course and who are still participating in this course, and I'm seeing how it is affecting them, how what change it is bringing to them, it really gladdens my heart. And it's something that I'm going to do again. So be on the lookout for it. Now, one of the things that we asked the participants to do was to write about their deepest emotions, something really deep, something that has, that really touches the core, something painful, something that has happened to them that, for the most part has just been there. And when you write from the place of deep emotions, especially when you know that you are writing in a safe place, you are not writing for any audience, you're writing for you. And the whole purpose of this is providing a safe place where you can let out the pressure. It's like when you have a pressure cooker on the fire and you know that thing is still building up pressure. You want it, you dare not open the top just that way. So you begin to let out the pressure valve. You shift the pressure valve so that the pressure can come out slowly and slowly. And that's the thing that's the way that the part of the ways that writing for healing works, given the opportunity to be able to let out the pressure that might be able to build up that had built up. And this is done in a safe place. You know that, I mean, it's you and your paper and your pen and your heart, and you can pour it all out, letting it go by writing it down. Just writing down about these painful experiences that have elicited deep emotions. One of the things that we discover as our friends were participating in this stage was that it brought a lot of things to the surface that still require their attention. So, things that they didn't even know that was still riding beneath the surface. But the more that we're writing from the deep emotions, the more they began to make connections. Between stuff and stuff, there's stuff there and stuff there that needed attention, that's just been riding beneath the surface, and for the most part, still influencing them. And that's the thing, that the power of pain. An event in our past can have so much power to continue to dictate how we show up in the present, how we behave, how we act, how we react to situation. And ultimately, it begins to direct where we go in the future. And like you've heard me say it often time in this space, that's a lot of power to give to an event in our past to dictate our lives now and direct our future. And that is what happens. And you see, as they do so, when we are able to, bring out all of this stuff, then we can take them to the one who can bring healing to us. The things that are connected together that we didn't know, that is directing the way we behave. You get to a point that you begin to see that, oh, that's why I get so sensitive about XYZ. That's why I respond the way I do, because I have all of these things stored up in my psyche, stored up in my memory, stored up in my past, and I have never really had the opportunity to deal with it. And so, for us to be able to experience that healing, that restoration that God has for us, we need to be ready to open up those places where we have been wounded, that we have hidden away. Like I mentioned earlier, we really cannot live the fullness of life and in the liberty that God has for you and I if we're carrying baggage of past or current hurts. They will weigh you down. They will weigh you down. They will keep you from moving forward to be who God created you to be, to live in the fullness of your potentials, to be the person that you could possibly, the best version of you that you could possibly be. When you're carrying all these baggages with you, it hinders you, it holds you down. And for me, I look at it in this way: it is like being shackled with heavyweights. And you see, those painful experiences, those hurts from our past, they provide a breeding ground for resentment, for bitterness, for anger to thrive. They provide an opportunity for all of these negative emotions, toxic emotions to fester in the inside of us. Because along with those painful experiences, those hurts, they breed, especially when we don't heal from them, they breed resentment, they breed anger, they breed fear, they breed bitterness. And all of this are like heavyweights, they are like shackles. Either we are carrying them on top of our heads and we don't even know that we're carrying such weight on our heads or our shoulder, or they are shackled onto our feet. They impede our movements. There is no way you and I can drag such loads and be able to move forward. I recall a time ago I was coaching a client of mine who was really had some significant life, events happened to them way back. And as we were talking, and she was sharing with me the things that had happened, and the image that I heard of, as she was talking, was someone who had all these big boulders, rocks in a bag, and they had it tied to their waist, and they were trying to run, move forward with this thing tied to their waist. It was impossible. It was literally impossible, because such heavy weights would impede your movement. I mean, if you there's this export thought that my sons, watch on the TV and show these men who are so muscular that they want to pull a trailer. So they tie a rope to their waist and tie it to the trailer, and they want to move forward. Obviously, they cannot move forward in the same pace that they will move without such a load following them. And that is what it is like for us when we have past hurts that have produced resentments, that have produced anger, that have produced bitterness, that have produced fear, and and all those negative emotions in us. They keep us back, they hold us back, they keep us from moving forward. They keep us from moving freely, and they make us to stumble in the journey of life. There is no way anyone can make progress towards achieving their dreams, towards achieving those things that they long for, towards becoming the person who God created them to be, if we are dragging all those heavy weights with us. And that's why it is so important for us to add, to check our hearts, to examine ourselves, those things that we are yet to let go of, the hurts that we are yet to heal from, that we need to deal with them. We need to deal with them and let go of them. Heal from the wounds so that we can let go of them. Healing from past painful experiences, healing from past hurts, is not optional if we want to live the best version of us in the fullness of life that God has given us the potential to live. Excuse me. You see, bitterness, resentment, anger, they are ugly emotions. They are toxic emotions. Excuse me. Bitterness, anger, resentment, malice, they are toxic emotions. They are ugly. They are negative. They are not productive. They are destructive. When we have those vengeful thoughts in our minds, it may seem inviting and interesting, when we watch the movie they play for us of how something will happen to the person who had wounded us, who had hurt us, that will make them feel even the worst kind of pain that they have inflicted on us. We all know ourselves. At one time or the other, we've all had such thoughts pass through our minds. The question is how long we allow them to stay. If we're able to deal with them instantly and say, no, my mind is not a trash can for such thoughts. And I recognize that I hold the remote control and I can switch the channel. I may not be able to prevent those thoughts from coming, but I certainly will not allow those thoughts to stay. However, when we have been wounded, when we are hurting, when we have past unhealed hurts, unresolved painful experiences, they make us to latch on to those vengeful thoughts. And we begin to watch the movie, and sometimes the movie becomes interesting. We begin to add to it and add to it and add to it. And before we know it, it consumes us. And the next thing you know is that you begin to act out what those thoughts have suggested to you. The long and short of the matter is that those movies, those vengeful thoughts, and those vengeful movies that we are watching in our mind, they are destructive. They are destructive for us who is watching it. They do not add value to us. They do not affect the people that we are thinking about in any way, shape, form, or the other. And that's why I like what Joyce Meyer says, that unforgiveness is drinking poison and hoping somebody else will die. carrying vengeful thoughts, carrying resentments in you, carrying malice, anger, and bitterness in you as drinking poison and hoping the person that you are having these thoughts about would die. It's not going to happen. It's the person who carries the poison, that is that is going to be affected by it. Those vengeful thoughts of bitterness, those vengeful thoughts, they consume those who carry them in their bosom. It's like carrying hot iron in your a hot coal, very hot coal in your bosom. Who does that? Nobody in their right mind would take hot coal and carry it and put it against their bosom. But then we do that. That's exactly what we're doing when we hold on to such vengeful thoughts, when we hold on to such negative emotions. You see, these destructive emotions flowing from the places of our deepest hurts and unhealed wounds will turn themselves on us and consume us. They're going to consume you. They're going to chip away at the structure of your immune system. They're going to make you susceptible to illnesses. They're going to deplete you of your physical, emotional, and spiritual energy. They're going to break you. They're going to make you lesser than who you have the capacity to become. The longer you carry them, the worse off we become. And that's why you will find someone, decades later, will act out in a behavior that you are wondering, where is this coming from? It is coming from the place of unhealed hurts. It is coming from the place of unresolved painful experiences, stuff that they did not deal with, that has now mushroomed, magnified, and it's just consuming them. When you see people who are consumed by the anger of what has happened to them, the way they behave, it's beyond imagination. And quite honestly, there are so many facets of our lives that are affected by it. Past trauma affects our physical health. In this space, our anchor scriptures is that I pray that you will be in good health and prosper even as your soul prospers. If you're carrying all those toxic, destructive emotions in the inside of you, then your soul cannot prosper. Your soul cannot thrive. Your soul cannot flourish. And ultimately, your body will follow suit because the mind, the body, and the spirit are interconnected. And what is going on in your mind is going to affect your body. Ultimately, you become susceptible to a number of diseases. And that's why we talk about writing for healing. And it has been well proven by many scientific studies, well conducted scientific researches, that when we heal, when we write to heal physically, when we write to heal emotionally, we also heal physically. That we experience physical healing when we heal in our minds. The prevalence of diseases, hospital visits. I mean, and I think I shared that with us here a while ago, or maybe one of my classes, one of my, maybe one of the writing for healing classes. The prevalence of diseases, is reduced, and people who are healed in their soul, in their minds. And that's why we cannot afford to leave hurts unhealed. That's why we cannot afford to leave painful experiences, past experiences unresolved. It will hurt you. It will hurt you. As you had, already, all of us have to do the work that it requires to look inward. I love David, the way he would say, "Examine me, O Lord, and see if there's anything in me that is offensive to you." We can fool the whole world, we cannot fool ourselves. We know where we have been wounded. It might be an unguarded word that somebody has spoken to us. It might be, the injustice that has been meted on us. And whatever our own painful experience may be, whatever the definition of a traumatic experience is, healing is possible. Healing is feasible, and not healing is detrimental for us, spirit, soul, and body. It will hold you back. It will keep you from being the best version of you. It will hinder you from living that dream that you desire. It will not allow you to become who you have the potential to be for as long as you're holding all of that in the inside of you. And I like you mentioned, past hurtful experiences as a breeding ground for bitterness, anger, resentment, vengefulness. These emotions are toxic and they are destructive. And so we need to take that responsibility, each of us, to look inward so that we can discover those things that are still hanging in there that we need to get rid of. And because it's when we know we face them that we can begin to deal with them. The last thing we want to do for ourselves is to begin to deny our own experiences. We need to come to the place of acceptance. It happened to me. And I'm not going to take that away from you. Yes, it shouldn't have happened. And it happened. And the next step is to acknowledge that pain and to begin to process it. Because if we don't clear out all those mess, if we don't open it up, healing can't take place. And we need healing to happen for the process of restoration to wholeness to begin. And the joy that you and I have is that we have a God who is willing to heal us, who is willing to restore our souls. While we recognize that there is a lot of work to be done on our part, so that in collaborating with God in this process, but that healing is possible, and we have a God who wants to do it, who wants to restore you. And that's why what I do here is faith informed. I am a faith informed trauma transformational coach. I anchor the work that I do to bring emotional healing on the foundation of the truth of God's word, because that is the oxygen for your soul. That is what you can use to reframe your experience. We need the truth, an unchanging truth, an unchanging standard to anchor our healing, to reframe the experience that we have. Letting go of these toxic wastes, these destructive emotions. And I call them toxic waste because they behave just like toxic wastes. And you know that anywhere where they store toxic wastes, it seeps into the soil and it destroys things far beyond the storage point, especially if it gets the opportunity to enter into the water plate. And that's why you and I need to let go of this. Healing from our past painful experiences is not optional if we want to live the fullness of life and in the liberty that God has for you. And for healing to occur in our souls, in our lives, in our hearts, in our minds, We've got to get to that point where we take our eyes off what happened to us, but we shift the focus. Because what you focus on, you magnify. I like Dusi Yeko's quote, his song that says that if you focus, he following his own experience. And he said that if you focus on the pain, you will miss the purpose. And this group, what we teach is that there is purpose in the pain. No matter what your own painful experience is, there is purpose that it can fulfill. And that's why we must process it so that we can discover the purpose and that we can see what it can be transformed into, what we can produce from it. You and I got to focus on the one who has the power to heal us. We need to take our attention off all those hurts, all those things that happen to break us. They can no longer be the center of our attention if we want to move forward from where life happened to us. I know that Jesus can heal broken people and broken lives. I've seen it happen too many times. There is no heart that has been so broken that cannot be healed, and there is no life that has been so shattered that cannot be healed and restored to wholeness. I love the Japanese pottery repair when all the broken pieces are brought back together and infused with gold so that it becomes whole again. Yes, you have been broken by broken people. You've been wounded, you've been hurt, you've suffered from injustice of others. You have been at the receiving end of the fallen nature of other people. But that does not have to be the end of the story. It's not the last chapter. But it's only you that can determine what's the next story, what the next chapter will be. But if you open up your heart for healing, you'll be writing a beautiful new chapter where you heal from your past experiences. It starts with coming to terms with what you can change. We can go back into a time machine and change anything that's happened in our past. We can't, and we cannot hold ourselves responsible for the wrongful action of others. And we must not live the rest of our lives in the aftermath of the wrongful action of others. They acted in their sinful nature. And we need to go beyond that. Because if we don't come to terms with what happened to us and accept what we cannot change, we cannot begin the journey of healing that is required. And part of that healing will require us to forgive. Forgiveness is good. It's not optional on this journey. As much as it's difficult for us to accept that forgiveness is not optional. And forgiveness does not mean that we take away from that drastic thing that they have done. It's that forgiveness is not letting them get away with what they have done. No, that's not what forgiveness is all about. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you choosing to live your life beyond what has happened to you. It's you choosing to let go. You forgive for you first and foremost, so that you are not entangled for the rest of your life with the person who wounded you. Because for as long as you're still carrying that person in the prison of your heart, you are entangled with that person. And so forgiveness is releasing the person out of the prison of your heart so that you can live free of the person who wounded you. And I know that is difficult, but it is not impossible. After all, we have been forgiven too. And for those of us who are beneficiaries of God's mercy and forgiveness, we must be willing to forgive others. And one truth that we must consider is that we are also capable of wounding others. We are also capable of hurting others the same way we have been wounded if we act in our own fallen nature. And the point is that at some time or the other, we have wounded somebody, we have hurt somebody. It might not be to the same extent to which you have been wounded, or sometimes it might even be more. The point is that we all have that potential in our fallen nature to hurt others, to wound others. And the truth is that for as long as we have that fallen nature that is not subdued by the grace of God and put under, we would do things that will shock us. You will be amazed what you are capable of doing if you allow your fallen nature to have a free ride. So if we recognize that we are also capable of hurting other people, then maybe we can distance a little bit from the things that happen to us that we are holding so close to our heart. Yes, broken people break others, and we have been wounded by the jagged ends of the broken people that came in contact with us. You know, when you have a broken bottle, it's all jagged, and that's why broken people break others, because they use their jagged ends to break others, to wound others. And when they break us, we also will have jagged ends that can wound others if we do not heal our from our brokenness, from the places where we have been broken. And when we recognize that those who break us leave something in us, that brokenness, and that brokenness can break others, can wound others, then we must take action so that we do not continue the vicious circle of breaking and wounding and hurting and perpetuating the pain and the hurts from year to year and decade to decade and generation to generation. That's why it's imperative for us to pay attention to those things that have wounded us so that we can heal from it. I'm so happy that you did. Otherwise, we'll continue to perpetuate these things. And you know that you want people to show you grace when you break them or you hurt them. But we find it difficult to show grace to those who have wounded us. And that's why I keep bringing it back to our understanding, bringing it back to the forefront for us that those who wound us are wounded people. They are broken people. Those who have hurt us have been broken by something. We're not making excuses for them. We're given grace so that we can distance them ourselves from them. Every person who hurts somebody is coming from a place of something that has happened to them that they have not dealt with. And we don't want to be the one that continues that thing and perpetuate it. When we withhold grace from those who have wounded us, we keep our jagged edges sharp. And in so doing, we position ourselves also to break others and wound others. And there's so much danger, so many dangers to having unhealed past hurts. And this is going to be the topic of our conversation this month. You know, looking at how can we heal and how do we ensure that we do not continue to perpetuate this brokenness by, remaining unhealed? How do we heal? How do we prevent ourselves from being held back by these hurtful pasts? It's healing is the only way. That's when we allow ourselves to experience the healing that is possible for us through God and through all the many avenues that He makes available to us, which I talk about in this space. Then we can experience that restoration and healing in our souls. When we experience that restoration and healing in our souls, then we can move on and live a life that is unhindered, unfettered by what happened in our past. There are many dangers of not doing this journey of healing. There are many dangers of carrying unhealed wounds and hurts with us. They affect us as individuals. They hinder us in our relationships with others. They prevent us from trusting others. And they prevent us from having healthy relationships. They prevent us from living the life that is possible for us. One of the ones that really bug me the most is that circle of bitterness that it makes us to that unhealed past experience attracts, that cesspool of bitterness, that cesspool of resentment that it creates in the inside of us. You know from the Word of God that we are cautioned not to let the roots of bitterness grow in us, because bitterness will defile us and it will cause many troubles. If you are holding on to a painful experience, there is no way you will not hold bitterness in your heart. All right, I want to attend to this question. Yes, I've been been trying to heal and forgive for many years. No matter how I come back to the plane, I do not know what to do about this. Yes, there is a process to go through for us to really lay down what has happened to us and to heal completely from it in a way that it no longer controls our lives. And that process involves us examining where things went wrong, what happened to us. Have we let go of what happened to us? Have we been able to forgive those who wounded us? And until we're able to accept, what we cannot change and forgive either those who wounded us or forgive ourselves, those things will still continue to linger. We can get to that place where we will remember what happened to us and it will no longer be painful. But for as long as it's still painful, it means that the healing is not complete. If you have a wound in your body and you treat it, the doctors are going to ask you if it's still painful. For as long as that pain is still painful, it means the healing is not complete. We can get to the space of healing in our mind, in our soul, in our body, where what wounded us no longer hurts us, where the sting of the pain is no longer there. We may never be able to forget what happened, but we can reframe what happened in the light of God's truth. We can use the standard of God's truth to wrap it so that it no longer has the power to dictate our lives, to direct our future. But unless we really heal properly, the sting will continue to be there. And for as long as the sting is still there, it will keep taking us back to the place of that experience. And if you want to talk about this further, please reach out to me in a DM. That's what we do here. I am a transformational coach. I help people to transform their pain to purpose, to power, and to profit. And we can only transform our pain when we heal from it. When we begin to see our painful experiences as raw material that needs to be processed. When we see it as something that we can transform, when we see it as the pain that has power that can be harnessed and be transformed into something that can be meaningful, then we know that is when we be truly heal. That's when we truly heal. And you begin to look at it with a different perspective, what happened to you because of what you can produce out of it. We must not waste our pain. What happened to you has happened. The question is, what chapter do you want to write afterwards with that story? This time you have the pen in your hand to write a new chapter so that that event of your life does not become that last chapter, the final chapter. The time available for us tonight will not permit me to go deeper into the dangers of not healing from past hurts, and we will continue on this subject next week as God gives us the grace and strength. But I just want to encourage you that when you come here and you listen, please don't just listen and walk away. See where it is applicable for you. What are the signs that you see in you that something is still there that you have not dealt with? How is the past experiences holding you back? In what areas do you find yourself struggling? That it seems as if you're making so much effort, but you're not breaking through. It's calling your attention to look inward and see and reflect. Why am I going round and round the same mountain? This vicious circle. Why am I harboring all this vicious thoughts, this vengeful thoughts? Why am I so triggered by some circumstances? Why am I easily, offended? Why am I explosive? We all know it when we are being resentful. We all know it when we're carrying something in there. We can fool others, but we cannot fool ourselves. And I'm praying that what you've heard from me on this page tonight would encourage you to take a closer look at yourself in the mirror and say, girl, boy, what's going on? It's time to deal with this issue. And when you know specifically what the issues are, please don't just excuse it. Don't just excuse it. There is more to your life than what happened to you. That's what I shared last week. You are more than your painful experiences. And all that happened to you can be transformed into something that is meaningful, something that can bring hope to others. Your mess can become ministry. Believe me, I've seen it happen too many times. That to be not to believe it. I have seen it happen. In fact, I got a wonderful testimony today from one of my clients of what God is doing with all that happened to her. At one time, it looked as if there was no more future for her, that she had reached the end of the road. But today, she is so full of joy that she got the opportunity to look at life and heal from the past experiences. And she's still working on a journey of healing. But when I heard what God is doing with our story, It just gladdens my heart. And that is what is available to you and I. Life happens, but there is life beyond what happens to you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday, by the grace of God. I'm traveling, so I'm on the road, moving, but I would, as best as possible, be here on Tuesdays for Beyond the Pain Live video and to continue on our conversation on moving beyond our unhealed past hurts. But more importantly, friend, don't let the past hold you back from embracing and experiencing the future that is possible for you, that future that God has in mind for you beyond your most painful experience. The truth is that there is nothing that happens to us that is unusable by God if we are willing to release it into His hands. Let Him heal us, restore us, and use our stories for His glory. Ultimately, that is the greatest joy that we will have, where the Father can use our story for His glory and to touch the lives of somebody else for good. God bless you very good. Good night. And if you have questions or something that we really need to talk about, please send a private message. It will be my pleasure and honor to respond to you and point you in the direction you can go. God bless you. Good night. And this is it for today.